Hi everyone, Jennifer here, back with another edition of Movie Talk. And this week's movie is the second installment of the Enchant-mas 2019 collection, and that is Molly, an American Girl on the Home Front. To Molly, the war means watching exciting newsreels at the local movie theater, having hot chocolate in the basement during blackouts, and learning to tap dance so she can win the part of Miss Victory in the school pageant. But when Molly's father goes overseas and her mother starts working in an airplane factory, suddenly the war no longer seems so far away. Then an English refugee, a girl Molly's age named Emily, comes to stay with the McIntyres. She is shy and reserved, but as Molly gradually learns the truth about Emily, she also comes to realize the truth about the war and that it requires compassion, cooperation, self-reliance, and sacrifice, even for a girl living on the home front. Okay, now, I kind of know what you guys are thinking. Well, wait a minute, Jennifer. This is not a Christmas movie. Number one, the movie does end on Christmas, so it does kind of fall into that category. Number two, I had originally planned on posting this video on this past Saturday, which was the 7th. I for whatever reason, didn't. I got busy and I wasn't able to do it. And the main reason why I was planning on doing it then is because the 7th of December is actually Pearl Harbor Day, which is when the United States entered World War II. So kind of a dual reason why I wanted to do this video for this week. First off, because it does end on Christmas, so it can be classified as a Christmas movie, as the other American Girl movies, with the first two end on Christmas, so they can be classified as Christmas movies. Number two, this movie does have a significant meaning for December 7th. And to find out more about Pearl Harbor Day, you can visit your local library or go on Wikipedia. But moving on. Okay, highlights of the movie. This movie was made back in 2006, so it's 13 years old, and was a television special. It is the third American Girl movie, the first being Samantha, an American Girl Holiday, the second, Felicity, an American Girl Adventure, and the fourth being Kit Kittredge, an American Girl. It was the first to premiere on Disney. Samantha and Felicity premiered on the WB. And Kit being a theatrical release. And this movie is set during 1944, which is during the time of World War II, or at least when America was in World War II. Okay, things I liked about this movie. I basically liked everything about this movie. I grew up with American Girl, and Molly was my favorite of the historical American girls. So when this movie came out, or when they were doing the trailers and whatnot for this movie, I was very excited about it because I'm like, great, we saw Samantha, we saw Felicity, now we're seeing my favorite of the historical American girls. So I was really excited about that. Also, Molly's story of the four girls that were historical girls that had movies done on them. There are more of them. There's Kirsten, who is she's set during I think during the 1800s, when a lot of immigrants were coming to America and moving out west. There is Addie, who was during the Civil War. Josephine, who, well, her and the little Native American girl, I cannot remember her name, were both before America was even founded. And then there was Julie, who takes place in the 70s. But of the historical American girls who had their movies made, Molly is actually chronologically the last one. Hers is the story that is probably very close to I don't want to say my generation because it was not my generation, but fairly current in history, let's just say. World War II was in the 1940s. I know, 1940s, that was a long time ago. Yeah, it was about 90 some years ago. But in the grand scheme of things, when you look at the other American girls, that's still relatively close when you compare to, like, say, Felicity, who's the furthest one away. The other three were relatively close. We had Samantha, whose movie took place just over 100 years ago. Kit, whose story actually does take place about in the 30s, so, not all that far away from 100 years ago. Then Molly, who's in the 40s. So Kit's story actually takes place about almost 90 years ago, and Molly's about 80. So while that seems like a big number, it's still relatively close. There are still people around who remember those time periods. Well, maybe not Samantha's, but definitely remember Kit and Molly's time period. So that's what I mean by they're a little more current. There's still people around who are like, oh yeah, I remember when that happened, and Bob and stuff like that. So it is a little more current, just in that aspect. The other American Girl movies that take place after Molly, those are far more current because they are, I think the first one takes place in 2006, or something. I'd have to actually look, but so that's like really current. But those are more of the girls of today, the girls of the year, but we'll get more into that when we get to those girls. So Molly's a little more current. That was one of the things I liked about Molly with book-wise. She was not necessarily current, but far more current than the other girls. She was also one of the original girls, along with Samantha and Felicity, and also Kirsten. And if I'm mispronouncing her name, I apologize. Kit was an add-in. She came much later, along with many of the other girls. So Molly is one of the originals, and of the originals, hers is the closest to what current events, i.e. there are people who are still around who remember that time period. I know I'm harping on that. I apologize. I am circling back to that. I do not mean to, but it is part of the movie. Thirdly, again, like all the American Girl movies, I liked how this one touched on a part of history that is very important, not just to America, but to the world. Molly actually touches on a part of history that was very important to the world. We had World War II going on, the second big World War. The first one was, I think, after Samantha's movie takes place. I'd have to actually double check on that, though. I could be wrong, and if I am, I apologize. Excuse me. So her story, unlike the other girls in the American Girl collection, her story not only touches on something that was important to America during her time period, but also the world. Now, granted, it does touch on things that were happening in America during that time period, what people were doing during that time period to not only help the troops, but also you have to also remember this is 10 years after the Great Depression. It's still pretty much going on. We're still saving money. We're still trying to stretch our food and our money and everything. And I don't mean us personally. I just mean like the American citizens. And granted, after World War II, things change. We actually are out of the Depression to a degree. We're still being careful. People are still being careful with their money and whatnot. But it does focus on that, on what people were doing to help the war efforts and how people were on rations. And how even though the fighting was being done in Europe, people were still being prepared in case somehow the Nazis were able to cross the Atlantic and come to America. They did blackouts at night. Children were drilled in what to do if something like that happened while they were in school and whatnot. So it was a big deal. We were taking precautions for things that we were hoping weren't going to happen, but, you didn't know it might happen. Because, you don't know what's going to happen. So the people were preparing for, our Americans were preparing for what might happen. And this touches on that. And it also touches on some of the things people did to help with the war efforts. Which was a big thing as well. The books do a good job as well. And are there some differences between the books and the movies, and the Molly books and this movie? Yes, there are. I will touch on that in a comparison video later on, though, I promise. But all in all, this was a great movie. It is my favorite of the historical American Girl movies, mainly because Molly is my favorite of the historical American girls. So basically all I have to say on that. Okay, cast. Wonderful cast of actors. They did a wonderful job finding actors that matched up with the artist drawings in the books of the characters, particularly the young actress who was playing Molly in the movie. Okay, feel free to leave your comments and questions in the comments section. I do love to read those. Please like and share this video if you're watching on Facebook, or like and subscribe if you haven't already if you're watching on YouTube. And feel free to follow me on Wattpad, Tumblr, Instagram, Twitter, and DeviantArt. I do have my name for those 5 sites right there on the screen, as well as the pictures I use for the icons. Please note that all pictures seen within this video do belong to their respective artists. I own absolutely nothing. Links for the 5 sites I mentioned will be in the description section if that makes it any easier for you guys to locate my pages on those sites. And if you're watching on Facebook, the link for my YouTube channel will be in the description section. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link for my Facebook page will be in the description section. Okay, quick reminder on my comment rules. Okay, feel free to check out my other movie talk videos. my Movie Talk Special Edition videos. And my other videos. Okay, before I sign off, a few things I'd like to touch on. First off, and this is for my YouTube subscribers, any of my videos that cannot be found on YouTube are on my Facebook page. Again, the link is in the description section. And for my Facebook friends, any of my videos that cannot be found on Facebook are on my YouTube channel. Again, the link is in the description section. And if you're looking for TV Talk, here's a list of all the TV shows I've either done TV Talk videos on or I'm currently doing TV Talk videos on. As always, thank you for watching and have a very nice day.